G'day, I'm Schuey from Smoked BBQ Sauce, and today I'm going to show you how to store leftover pulled pork, then how to reheat it, and how to make one of my favourite recipes with it. So let's get into it. That's right, today I'm going to show you a few things to do with pulled pork. Now let's start with storing it for later use. Now we've all done it, we've cooked a big Boston butt or a pork collar, we've had our meal and there's plenty of leftovers. So what do we need to do? We need to allow that to cool down completely before we do anything else. Then we can get ready to properly store the pork in a vacuum sealed bag. These machines are sold everywhere these days. All you have to do is write the date, the weight, and the type of food that you're storing on the bag for later use. Portion out the pulled pork to around 5 ounces per serving for each adult, half that for children. Once the air is vacuumed out and the bag is sealed, put it into the freezer for later use. Reheating pulled pork properly is a pretty easy thing to do because we've done the prep work. We've put the pulled pork into those vacuum sealed bags and frozen them. So the night before you want to use it, take it out of the freezer, put it in the fridge and allow it to defrost overnight and the next day. Then when you're going to heat it up, you need to get a pot of water on the boil and just place the sealed bag straight in there. Allow that to get nice and hot. It usually takes around 5 to 10 minutes depending on how much is in the bag. And now that we know how to heat up our leftover pulled pork, we need to make something with it. Reheated pulled pork isn't going to be any good without a knockout sauce to go with it. So here's a little recipe of mine I want you to try. It's got a nice sweet taste, but it's got a knockout peppery hit at the end. All you need to do is grab a saucepan and into that you're going to add 1 cup of ketchup, 1.5 cups of apple juice, 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar, 1/2 cup of brown sugar, 4 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 3 teaspoons of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper and 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne. Now mix this up and stir it constantly over a low to medium heat for around 15 minutes until it thickens and the sugars have all dissolved. Once cooled, transfer this to a jar or a sauce bottle. Today, I'm going to be setting up a 22-inch Weber kettle for medium to high indirect heat because I want to melt some cheese on some nachos. That's right, today I'm making pulled pork loaded nachos. Now, you could use an oven to melt the cheese for this and no one here is going to think anything less of you. But how I get my Weber set up is I'm going to 3/4 fill a chimney starter of lumped charcoal and I'm going to light it up, and once that's ashed over I'm going to dump the charcoal on one side of the charcoal grate. I'll use a charcoal basket to hold it up on that one side. I'll put the cooking grate on, I'll put the lid on and make sure all the vents are wide open. I love nothing more than loading up a plate of loaded nachos. Now that pulled pork, that's sweet and that's salty, really lends well to loaded nachos. So much so, I really can't wait to dig in when I'm making this meal. So firstly, you want to fully cover a plate with corn chips. I've gone for cheese flavoured corn chips. Make sure the bottom of the plate is fully covered. Now put a layer of shredded cheese over the top. I tend to use a pizza blend or a mozzarella to get that stretchy cheese string later when it's cooked. Now it's time for the hero of the dish, our pulled pork. Put a good layer of this over the cheese and some of our barbecue sauce. Then we can add another layer of the cheese on top. Now this goes into the barbecue on a high heat for around 10 minutes. Anything over 350 degrees Fahrenheit will be good. Or you can pop them into an oven. Again, I won't judge you if you choose the oven. The pork has already got that smoky flavour. Once the cheese is nicely melted, drag out the plate, top with some guacamole and some sour cream and a little more barbecue sauce, and just finish it off with a sprinkle of freshly cut chives. How good does that look? The smell coming off these nachos is off the chart. Only thing left to do is dig in. But remember, that cheese is going to be boiling hot and it's going to stick to your skin. So just try and get a little bit of everything in that first mouthful. I know for a fact I'll be licking the plate at the end of this video. Don't judge me. Well, there you have it. Loaded nachos with reheated pulled pork. These were so tasty and super easy to make. If you'd like to check out this recipe a little further, there's a link in the description to the website for the full recipe and a list of ingredients and step-by-step instructions. Thanks for watching. It's now time for me to dig in and eat. Cheers. G'day, I'm Schuey. G'day, I'm Schuey from favourite. G'day, I'm Schuey from. I'm going to show. That fly's still hanging around. I think the fly spray gave him superpowers. A pot of boil. Oh, get a pot of boil. Yum, that sounds great. Yeah, I said okay. I nearly had it that time. Today I'm going to be setting up a 22-inch Weber kettle for medium to high indirect heat to melt cheese on some nachos. That's correct. Today I'm making loaded. Oh man, that was just coming up because I want to. No.